What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, we're doing a 2-game Saturday slate, man. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be a little bit different than what we usually do. Obviously, we're usually doing showdown, but I feel like this is kind of a showdown main slate hybrid, right? You know, like what are your thoughts on a 2-game slate like this? This is going to be pretty interesting, pretty fun.
Yeah, man, to answer your question, man, I'm looking forward to it. One of the reasons why we started doing these showdown slates was to get a better knowledge of some of the deeper players that we have on these teams. And we haven't really put it all together in a while. And I think it's a great opportunity to do this here on this 2-game slate. So we'll be able to talk a little bit about showdown as we go through it. But, you know, I'm excited, man. Yeah. And it's 2 games that mean something.
Yeah, exactly. So the first game, we've got Tennessee going into Jacksonville. Jaguars are favored by 6.5. They're at home. You know, you got Josh Dobbs starting for Tennessee. So although he did look okay, he looked like a professional quarterback kind of in that first game. We don't know what's going to happen in this particular game. Who knows? He could look like ass. We don't know. Jaguars could come out and absolutely suck. I'm rooting for the Jaguars. I think most people are rooting for the Jaguars. We want to see Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, who suffered through a lot of bullshit, actually make the playoffs. So you got that game first. Next game up is KC traveling into Vegas against the Raiders. Their Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites. So everybody and their brother is going to be stacking the shit out of this game. We know that for a fact. You know, you got Mahomes, you got Kelsey, you got Devontae Adams, you got the highest owned players are coming from this particular game. So we're going to have to get into finding ways to be different. Everybody's going to have Mahomes, Kelsey, you know, stacks, and you know, with maybe Jaguars defense. You know, we're gonna have to find ways to get different from there. So anyways, let's just actually look at these numbers here. Let's look at the first look of this matchup. You've got a 51.5-point total in this first game. Chiefs 30.5 is their implied total, and 21 on the other side. Pretty heavy favorite on the money line here, minus 460. Look, am I crazy about that? I know that Stidham is the quarterback here, and he absolutely crushed in that last game. But man, am I crazy to think that this could be a closer game than Vegas is seeing? I don't know. Am I crazy about that?
I don't think you are, man. Stidham, it's hard to quantify what a quarterback can do or what a team can do when it really doesn't mean anything. Right? There's not much game film on Jarrett Stidham, so it is different trying to game plan him from a defensive perspective. And let's not pretend like the Chiefs are excellent in the defensive category this year. So
yeah, exactly.
Look, it's very possible that Stidham keeps him in this game. And again, there's a lot of news that we're going to have to comb through over the next day or two as the NFL announces kind of the impacts of the Bills Bengals game. It could matter when it comes to how the Chiefs show up. So I do think it gives the Raiders a fighting chance, but I expect the Chiefs to dominate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you were talking about the Chiefs defense, man. They're not good. Now, Chiefs, they're number 1 in the league at scoring offense, 29.1 points per game. But their defense, they're giving up 22.3 points per game, which is 20th. And the crazy number to me is they have a 69% red zone defense, which is basically they're giving up touchdowns 69% of the time that teams get into the red zone. That is a crazy stat to me. I mean, that to me opens up the door for you know, Devontae Adams and tight ends, like in the red zone, big dudes they can just throw the ball up to. That is a crazy stat. Now let's look at the second game here. The Titans absolutely injured. They got no players on offense. You know, you got Derrick Henry, of course. You got Treylon Burks, but you got Josh Dobbs as the quarterback. It looked okay. I don't know what he's going to do now. You know, now that there's some game film on him, what are they going to do? Jaguars 6.5-point favorites at home. This is a 39.5-point total, which is kind of interesting to me. I think this could maybe hit the over. I think Jacksonville, like Tennessee's defense, their pass defense is absolutely terrible. I mean, they're 31st in yards allowed to tight ends. They're the second worst in pass yards per game on average, and they're 32nd in rating to wide receivers. So to me, Jacksonville could come out and absolutely spank the Titans. It just all depends, in my opinion, on Derrick Henry, if Derrick Henry can be effective. So what are your thoughts on this total here? I think it's going to scare people away from stacking this game, but I really do think that you could stack Jaguars in this game quite a bit with this passing defense they're going against.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I definitely think this game can expect an over to hit, and this game matters, right? Excuse me. The Titans have to win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive. If they lose this game, they're not even in a wild card spot. They have to win the division to be able to get that spot. So they have every reason to make this a competitive game. And I mean, we saw it happen last time. It was a wild game. Tennessee was beating the shit out of them, and then what was that? That was the game Evan Ingram went off, huh? So
yeah, Evan Ingram
I don't know.
crushed.
I'm excited for that, man. Like there's kind of a revenge narrative here too, right? Like they want to come back and get this game back.
I really do think the Jaguars can win this game. I'm rooting for the Jaguars. I think a lot of people are. Let's get into our injuries though here. So there's a couple things to talk about here. Derrick Henry was taken off the injury report, so he's good to go. He has no status. You don't have to really worry about him. Of course, like every player in the NFL, they're going to be banged up, especially a guy like that. But he's not on the injury report. Traylon Burks, questionable with a groin injury. Vrabel seems to sound optimistic. That was a quote that I took from an article. Who knows what the hell that means? Maybe it's a smokescreen. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence is questionable with toe. There's no chance in hell. This guy would have to have an amputated leg to not play in this game. This is the biggest game of his professional life by far. He's going to play. Mecole Hardman, questionable with an abdomen. He last played in week 9. It's been a while. And then Sky Moore is out in this game. Sky Moore, his numbers haven't been incredible lately, but just having watched that game against Denver, he was being utilized quite a bit. So does Mecole Hardman sort of slip into that role if he plays? And what do we do if Mecole Hardman's out? Is this a Justin Watson situation? Do they move Pacheco around a little bit more? Like what happens? Josh Jacobs is questionable with a hip. So he was added today. We're recording this Thursday night. He was added to the injury report as questionable today, right? Am I wrong about that, or was he added earlier in the week? What did you see on that?
No, he was. I believe he was listed questionable officially today, but he was a DNP yesterday for personal reasons.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. So I don't want to take that as a quote, because obviously if it's personal, there is some implication as what that means. If he is somewhat injured, this dude is in a position to go get a big free agency contract.
Yes.
It is possible he will sit himself if he doesn't think he's getting played.
Hey, you're right about that, dude. Like that's actually a very interesting point. Personal reasons, are the personal reasons him getting a huge contract? I mean, hey, they're not playing for anything. Oakland Raiders are just playing for pride at this point. They're playing for incentives, and they're playing for, a contract for some of these guys. So I don't know, man. That's a very interesting point you brought up. So let's actually talk about that kind of information here real quick before we get into the breakdown. There's some incentives out there, especially with this particular game. Certain players need to hit a certain amount of yards, hit a certain amount of receptions. They can get a lot of money, a lot more money than we're making per year. I'll tell you that much in one particular game. So let's talk about that, Ellie. Go ahead and tell us what's going on with these props, or not props, but these incentives for these players.
Yeah, look, a lot of this information is subjective. In these games where it matters for playoff seeding, I expect these to be sort of on the back burner, but I do have a couple that are interesting to me, right? Zay Jones, for example, he gets another $500,000 for 70 receptions, 250 for 80 and 90.
How many receptions does he need?
He's at 78 right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So 2 more receptions is $250,000, and then if he ends up with 12 tomorrow, he gets another $250,000. Wow. Right? And he's already priced nice. He was already probably going to be a jockey play, but these are the kind of narratives that I like to get behind.
Well, Zay Jones, you're right. Like it's a playoff do or die win. Like you have to win this game. They're not going to be like, oh, let's throw Zay Jones the ball a couple more times. I hear what you're saying, but maybe he's a little bit more motivated to get open on some of these plays,
Well, here's the thing, though, is, where the Titans, they have to win this game to make the playoffs. They 100% don't give a shit about their incentives. Jacksonville, they're in the wild card if they lose this game.
That's
so
true.
you know, maybe getting these guys playing, then you probably end up playing Tennessee again. You're probably gonna win that game, right? So like, you know, I don't know, man. So you know, there's a whole bunch of things. We can get into more specifics when we go through the breakdown. But you want to pull up that what was that slide you had?
We got some Salvetri tweets here.
Yeah. Now, Patrick Mahomes, his is interesting because I believe he also needs around 450 yards to get. God damn it!
430 to set. Well, he said to set the record. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Mahomes 430 yards away from the new single season passing record.
Nice.
So you know, yeah, it's cool. But Patrick Mahomes, he's already got his MVP. This game means more about seeding to the Chiefs than it does to these records. Right? Travis Kelce, I think he needs 12 to set the single season record. But again, like I don't need a narrative to play Travis Kelce in particular.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Josh Jacobs. This is the one that's a little bit interesting to me. I don't think he gives a shit about the Raider record. I think this guy is trying to get his contract. We know the life expectancy of running backs in the NFL. They don't get very, very big careers or very long careers. So when you have an opportunity, you get your money, and that's why I think it's very important to keep an eye on his status. I think there's a real potential he doesn't end up playing tomorrow. Now we're not going to get into that because that's a conspiracy theorist type perspective. But if he doesn't play, it obviously opens up value that we need for the main slate. So,
all right, you know what? Let's just get right into this breakdown. We're going to go position by position, and then we're going to get into our lineup builds, and we'll do a little final thoughts action. Let's get into this. Break it down. If you're new to the channel, we usually do showdown content. We're messing with a little bit of different format here. If you enjoy showdown, throw us a like. We're probably going to be doing a couple more of this when it comes to the playoffs. Maybe we'll do a 2-game slate and we'll do a showdown for each one. Who knows? We'll figure that out down in the comments below. Let us know if you guys like this format. If you're interested in it, we'll continue to do more. And hey, hit that subscribe button. We're 11 subscribers away from our 1,000 subscriber goal. That's going to help us out a ton. And obviously, once we hit that subscriber goal, we're going to give away 2 $50 DraftKings gift cards in our Discord. So if you're not a part of that Discord, hit up the description and join that. So we're talking about quarterbacks here. So Patrick Mahomes is 8,400. Trevor Lawrence, 6,100. You got a guy like Jared Stidham, who absolutely crushed last week, 5,400. And then Josh Dobbs at 5,100. So obviously, everybody and their brother is going to want to play Patrick Mahomes. He's 8,400. He's $3,000 more than Jared Stidham. If you play Patrick Mahomes and if you play Travis Kelce, your lineups are probably going to be kind of similar. I mean, there's just not a lot, unless you're punting at like 3 positions. There's just really not a whole lot you can do that's different on a 2-game slate with those 2 guys because they're so expensive. So Ellie, talk to me here. When it comes to, we'll obviously talk about stacking here as well because, hey, the quarterback is the guy that you're stacking with. What are we doing here with Patrick Mahomes? We all want to play Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be about 50% owned most likely. What are you doing here? And look, I'm like Jared Stidham in this game, in this particular slate. I don't know why. Do you agree with me? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm just going to take a contrarian take here. Look, I don't want to be a complete homer and make it very clear. Patrick Mahomes, he is the QB1. He's the best play of the slate. But we got some news today in the NFL, right? The Kansas City Chiefs just lost the opportunity to have the home field advantage at the AFC Championship game. So they no longer have anything to fight for. Like, they literally do not have a reason
interesting. Yes,
to come out and play this game to full potential. They're going to get their home game. Even if they end up with the 1 seed, they're not getting that AFC Championship home game. So it might be in their interest to not necessarily get crazy. So look, if you want to fade Patrick Mahomes, I think there is a little bit of a narrative to be had doing that. But as you can see right here, it's probably not a great idea. Like this is simply fade at your own risk, and hope that you're okay. But just roster construction wise, like that, you are limited. His price is 8,400. You're not going to run naked Mahomes. I mean, you can, But really, there's no reason to.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get touchdowns out of that offense. So you're going to get Kelsey, you're going to get Juju or whatever, and you're going to have a pretty chalky build. Like there's only so much you can do with that kind of roster construction. So I think when we get to some of the later areas, we'll be able to show where you can kind of pivot off of that. But yeah, I mean, play Patrick Mahomes. And then you asked about Jared Stidham. I don't know, man. Like I think he's an interesting play at 5,400. I think he could absolutely go out there and do that again. San Francisco, again, this is kind of trap game for them, I guess. They don't have much to play for. They're pretty much already clinched the division. So it's very easy to make a quarterback making his first career start look special. There's limited game film on the guy.
Yeah.
I doubt he's going for 365 again. That's fine. But at his price, like he gives you a lot of flexibility in some of the other positions. That's how you're going to be able to get a little bit different off of the obvious Pat Mahomes chalk, right? So it's not massive leverage, but you're getting some by playing him. Now, call me crazy here, but I am going to run a lineup here with Josh Dobbs. I think of all the games on the slate, all the teams, Tennessee is the only one that truly has everything to lose, right? Everybody else's seeding is pretty much somewhat solidified. And we've seen the Titans come out, what was it, last year against the Rams? We saw them come out in games where everybody's like, oh, who the fuck are the Titans? Like, I honestly forgot that they were even eligible for playoff contention at this point. But they come out in these games that matter. They run the ball well. Josh Dobbs, he did look okay. And at 5,100, I mean, you grab Treylon Burks, you grab Robert Woods, and one of those guys goes off, or even Chip Okonkwo. Like, there's just so much flexibility that running this will get you. I don't know. I'm okay with it. And then obviously, look, these guys are listed in order of how you should play them. Yeah. Pat Mahomes is 1, Lawrence is 2, Stidham and Dobbs are absolute dart throws, with Dobbs probably being less than 5% owned. I will play him though.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably best to get as many possible lineups as your bankroll would allow in this particular game, or on this slate. If you got $20 to play with, do as many 20 maxes as you possibly can. 10 cent, 25 cent, $1. Because this is going to be tough, man. A 2-gamer. I'd rather play individual showdown slates with 1 or 2 lineups, like a high cash, $100 cash lineup or a $40 single entry or something. Because there's just so many damn things that could happen. There's so many different motivations going on here. I want to spread out as much as I can, and I'm going to have stacks of all these guys. I think probably on paper, like the best option, with the actual salary cost, is probably a Trevor Lawrence stack when it comes to ownership, cost, and the guys that you have to pair with him. Trevor Lawrence is going up against a bad defense here, man. They are not looking good. Man, last time they played, they absolutely crushed them through the air, and I don't see that changing. This could absolutely be the same type of game. But one thing about Tennessee is their coach is not going to let them come out and just get their ass kicked in a big game. At least I don't think so. You got Josh Dobbs at captain, so who knows? All right, let's move over to running back unless you have anything else to add here.
No, it just real quick, like I was intentionally being contrarian. That's a narrative that I am interested in and I think can happen, but it's very unlikely. Yeah. It's very unlikely. Jacksonville is a better team.
I hear what you're saying, though, for sure. All right, so running backs, Derrick Henry's 8K, Travis Etienne 6,700. You got Josh Jacobs at 7,400, and then you got Jerick McKinnon at 6,300. If you had to have like a top tier, it's probably just like the top 3 guys here. But Jerick McKinnon has been crushing so much lately in the past game. You got to talk about him. And this is another thing I love about a slate like this. Is typically on a main slate, your player pool probably stops around here, maybe here with Pacheco. We're not even talking about guys like Brandon Bolden, Hassan Haskins, things like that. But hey, this is a 2-gamer, so a little bit of showdown strategy here. We'll talk about them in a second. But these guys are so damn expensive at running back. You're going to have to find one of these guys in your lineups, right? Are you prioritizing any of these guys? Because if you play Derrick Henry, you're sure as hell not going to be able to play Mahomes and Kelsey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, you can, but you're going to be punting somewhere else, right? And it's your point, not in a way that we're normally comfortable with in Showdown. It's different playing JaMychal Hasty when he's, at $1,200 as opposed to $4,600.
Yes,
it gives you a lot more roster construction flexibility. But in this case, I think you're right on. And even then, I think the lines, we need to specify our line here is Josh Jacobs, because Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco, that's timeshare. And to be completely honest with you, their ownership coming in as high as they are is really only justified because of their pricing, right? The timeshare isn't going to get you the points that Etienne or Jacobs are going to get, let alone Henry. So it's scary to me, but I also think that the way that you can leverage those two dudes is by playing both of them. I think you can probably handcuff them, and that's the safest way to play both these guys. Now, again, there's a lot of opportunity costs involved here, because that means you're fading Henry, Etienne, and or Jacobs, depending on what you do in the flex. But look, man, I again, like, I think the Chiefs have more incentive to play a more safe game and rely on their backs a little bit than they do to be run heavy. But yeah, I think Derrick Henry is your RB1. It's going to be hard to pay up for him with Pat Mahomes and Kelsey. So again, like, when you're looking at it from a roster construction perspective, you got to think about, how can I build a lineup with him and Kelsey and Mahomes that's different from the field? If nobody's able to do that because of the pricing, that's where you're comfortable maybe playing some of these other guys. Can you scroll down just a tad?
Yep.
I am kind of interested in a guy like JaMychal Hasty. This is a guy maybe 5 to 10% owned on a slate where there's really just not much value, right? He's not going to have a good game, most likely. But when we're playing these large field GPPs on a 2-game slate where nobody's paying down for a running back like this, having a game where he hits 20 points might be the difference. So I don't mind sprinkling in a couple of these guys. And again, kind of as we alluded to in the earlier part of the show, some of these guys we wouldn't even really know about if we weren't doing showdown shows,
Yeah, I mean, a guy like Michael Burton, I've said his name so many times this year, it's ridiculous. But, on showdown slates, you got to talk about these kind of guys. Josh Jacobs, the last time these guys played KC, this is when he had 33 fantasy points. You can see down there, 21 rushes, 154 yards, 5 receptions, 39. I mean, dude, KC, to me, their defense is it's prime for them to have another bad game. They've given up 24 plus real life points to both the Broncos and the Texans in the last few weeks. Terrible teams. They're making bad teams look good. Stidham, yeah, maybe they're going to have a little bit more game film on him. Maybe they can game plan a little bit better for Stidham this time around without Carr. But my God, like, I feel like Vegas, unless they come out and just absolutely suck dick just because there's nothing, there's no incentive for them to play, I feel like that could be the stack that you could really involve here. And I think Josh Jacobs, you could stack him with Stidham as well. Anything else to talk about here? Any of these other guys you're interested in? Just a little bit, sprinkling them in?
Just real quick, obviously, if for whatever reason Josh Jacobs doesn't play, then immediately whoever's starting in that role is RB1. Just lock him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really need some injury news here to help us out, because as is, there's really not a lot of value that we're just super comfortable with, which is kind of scary. Let's go to wide receivers. Devontae Adams, 8,800. Juju Smith-Schuster, 5,400. You got Christian Kirk at 6,200. And Zay Jones at 5K. So, I mean, look, it's tier A, Devontae Adams, and the rest. Juju Smith-Schuster, we know his potential. He's very boom or bust. We don't, what are you going to get from him this week? Is he going to get 0 targets? Is he going to get 10 targets? Who knows? Christian Kirk, very boom or bust. Hey, I'm happy for Christian Kirk, former Cardinal, got an insane contract this offseason, and everybody made fun of him. Everybody made fun of the Jaguars. He's paid that off. Zay Jones, 5K. We know what Zay Jones can do. He's boom or bust as well. So there's this like sort of top tier, second tier wide receivers, and then there's just not a lot of other options that we'd be super comfortable with. But hey, on a 2-gamer, we're gonna end up talking about guys like Racy McFucking-Math and Jamal Agnew and Justin Watson. Like, we're going to have to talk about these guys. So what do we do here with Devontae Adams? He's 8,800. I'm pretty sure he's the most expensive dude in the slate. Yeah, he is. So it's going to make it hard to put Devontae Adams, almost impossible, unless you just don't give a shit about some of these other positions and you punt, to play them in a Mahomes, play Devontae Adams in a Mahomes Kelsey stack. I don't know, man. What are you thinking on with these guys? I think you got to spread yourselves out a little bit. But Devontae Adams, man, he crushed last week with Stidham.
Yeah, I mean, look, Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. If you can get to him, you can get to him. The problem is he's the most expensive player on the slate, so it's going to be tough getting there. He's going to be a popular run back with the Pat Mahomes stack. So I mean, there's going to be people punting at a lot of other positions to get to him. But yeah, play Devontae Adams if you can pay for him. I think there's some better values that we can go to. I think Juju Smith is reliable. I don't necessarily know if he's quite up there on the GPP upside that we're looking at. And if he has one of his 17, 20-point outings, that's definitely going to be helpful. But I think the Chiefs' offense has just been highly unpredictable this season. I think you're almost better off kind of just punting. I think I want to get Pat Mahomes, Kelsey, and then go all the way down. Let's just talk about him now. Let's go to Justin Watson. 3K, he's probably going to be less than 15, 20% owned. I don't even know if he's a secret anymore, but if you're punting, like, 3K is the second or the third lowest minimum on a main slate for NFL, right? You got defense and tight end as the other lower one. So he could easily catch a touchdown tomorrow. He's going to give you some leverage. Nobody's going to be playing him. He's going to give you the ability to spend up. And then you got Kadarius Toney right there, man. Like, look, it's simple. You grab Pat Mahomes, grab one of his running backs, probably. I like both of them. And then grab one of these guys plus Travis Kelce. I'm going to be going a little bit heavier on the chalky Mahomes stack because I don't think anybody's going to do that. But I think it's easier for him to get a random touchdown to everybody on his team than it is for, Trevor Lawrence to go for 450 and 4 TDs.
And remember, Sky Moore is out. So obviously, right. I think Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, they're not playing the exact same position. They're on the field at the same time. So who does that benefit more? I mean, I think a guy like Mecole Hardman, he's only down here because I'm sorting by projection, and he doesn't have a projection at this moment. But he's questionable. He could play. Right. Are we reading into the fact that Sky Moore is out and Mecole Hardman's coming back? Well, probably Mecole Hardman's going to fill right in. He's going to be active, most likely. He's 3,700. Guy like Mecole Hardman is back. Man, what he can do. I mean, look at this. The last 4 games that he was playing, weeks 5 through 9, 19 fantasy points, 28, 13, 12. He was in a roll and he got hurt. So if he's coming back and he's going to just be plugged right back in, you might expect a little bit out of him. At 3,700, I'm very, very interested in Mecole Hardman because of his price. As well as a guy like Kadarius Toney, man, 4K. I think what you end up doing most likely, if you're doing Patrick Mahomes stacks, you probably want to get Kelsey, obviously, but Kelsey's going to be 60+% owned. What if he just has like a 10 fantasy point day? I mean, it happens, and they still win, and it's a good game for everybody. But maybe he doesn't do well. Well, maybe you can put Toney in MVS. Maybe you can put Juju and Toney, Juju and Jamal and Justin Watson here, along with Patrick Mahomes, and that immediately makes you different, and you still have that Kansas City upside. I think that's kind of like an interesting way to build with Patrick Mahomes.
No, I agree with you 100%. Like, let's put it this way. If Racey McMath, Chris Conley was still in the Chiefs, Keelan Cole, Jamal Agnew, if any of these guys were getting the ball thrown to them from Patrick Mahomes, they'd still be in my player pool.
Yeah.
Right. But they're not. So they're going to be out of my player pool. Not Jamal Agnew. I'll probably have a little bit of exposure to him. But, I don't think we're as tight for value tomorrow overall at the wide receiver position. I guess we should probably get on track here a little bit. Obviously, play Devontae Adams if we can get to him. Juju's nice. Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, I think that's going to be an interesting position there. Zay Jones is obviously going to be the chalkier player just because of the pricing. But Christian Kirk is ultimate GPP upside. We've seen multiple touchdown games this season. He doesn't get one. He goes out and gets 2 or 3. So I think you can pivot off of Zay Jones, go to Christian Kirk, and then instead of Zay, maybe go down to a guy like MBS or Hunter Renfrow. That's the $1,200 savings that you're going to get to be able to pay up on the other side. So I think there's a lot of value here in the wide receiver position that you just got to be comfortable rotating in. Marvin Jones, Kadarius Toney, even Nick Westbrook. He's again, if that game is going to stay competitive, he's underpriced for what he's probably going to do in the role. This is 2 games. You got to find guys that you're comfortable with.
And remember what I had brought up before, Titans' pass defense, second worst in pass yards per game average, and last in rating to wide receivers. So they're going to give up opportunities for these wide receivers. You have to think that, all these Jacksonville dudes, even a guy like freaking Jamal Agnew, Jamal Agnew's minimum price at $3K, guys like that, I'm willing to play more against an absolute dog shit defense. Those situations where we typically wouldn't play on a main slate. Guys like Jamal Agnew, guys like Racing McMath, Justin Watson. I'm interested in sprinkling them in just a little bit. All right, let's go to tight ends here. So tight ends is interesting on this slate. You got Travis Kelce at 7,900. He probably should be priced up more than this. He probably, maybe he's the second high. He should be probably closer to Devontae there at 8,800. So you're kind of getting a little bit of a discount, but he's still expensive if you try to pair him with Patrick Mahomes. You got Evan Ingram at 4,500, Darren Waller at 4,400. So you have a big drop off in price, and you have a big drop off in projection as well. So to me, it feels like Kelce and Ingram both in the same lineup, Kelce at tight end, Ingram at flex, or vice versa, whatever. That's going to be a very, very, very popular roster construction. So, I mean, tight ends here, man, there's a lot there's a lot we can do with tight ends here. I think if you wanted to get super different, if you didn't play Travis Kelce at tight end and you played Ingram and Waller together, and you could still stack the Chiefs, you know what I mean? So that's a way to get a little bit different. But you're also talking about fading probably the best player on the slate in Travis Kelce, or at least with the highest floor. Anyways, what are your thoughts on these tight ends here, man? There's a lot of options here.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece we need to take away from the segment is just as you pointed out, 2 tight ends is going to be a very popular build tomorrow because everybody wants Kelce. Like that's the tight end one that you walk in. So that means your flex is going to be Evan Ingram, and I think he's coming. Initial projections, off the top of my head, I'm saying Evan Ingram's going to be 35-40% owned. Right? Everybody remembers the only amazing game Evan Ingram has ever had. Right, was against the Tennessee Titans. Everybody knows that. It was by far the best game that he's ever had. So he's going to be chalky. And I think one of the ways that you can get it easily different is just paying $100 less to a half-owned Darren Waller. Right?
Yes, yes.
Why not?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I get the upside's not there. The Raiders don't have any reason to play for this game. And by upside, I mean like narrative, like reasons. He absolutely is a top 3. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year, like it would come down to playing Waller or Evan Ingram, I'd fight you. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm playing Darren Waller, right? Like sometimes you just gotta play the better player in a better position. Kansas City just isn't going to defend shit. And again, not to get too crazy on this, they lost home field advantage. They can't play the AFC Championship game at home. And that fucking matters.
Yeah.
So, maybe they decide to kind of take it a little bit more of an easy. Lets the safeties play a little bit wider. Darren Waller tears it up.
Yeah,
the other piece here is exactly fading Travis Kelce. I think that's an option. You can get almost Evan Ingram and Darren Waller for damn near the same price, right? If you play a Waller and a Okonkwo, it's the same price as Travis Kelce for probably a similar projection. So that savings is going to allow you to maybe pay up a wide receiver where other people aren't going to be doing, right? So don't be afraid to play 2 lower-owned tight ends here. But I don't think you need to get into like Cooper, Gray, Murrow, Manhurts. Dan Arnold, like if you're 150 maxing, go ahead and throw him in. He'll have a touchdown. No, only if you're 150 maxing. If you're not doing that, he won't score a touchdown. So make sure you let us know in the comments if you're doing 150 max so we can decide whether or not we're playing him. I'm kidding, guys. That was a terrible attempt at a joke.
Okonkwo,
but look, tight end. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, dude, like Okonkwo to me is like one of the most exciting tight ends. Like he's on a shitty offense, but man, this guy can haul ass, dude. Like he's good. He's athletic. Yeah. He is, and they also keep him in for passing downs, or I'm sorry, for pass blocking and run blocking. So to me, that really, like, this dude's gonna be like 5% owned. He's 3,300. He's my option here for our low-owned guy that can score. $3,300. You put him, even if you put Kelsey and Okongwu in the lineup together, or Ingram Okongwu, or whatever, incredibly different, and you still got a decent amount of upside. I mean, Okongwu hasn't necessarily proven himself as one of these dudes who can score 20 fantasy points, but he's on a shitty offense. And look at these targets. You have 5, 6, 5, 4. Pretty respectable numbers. If he had to be one of my low-owned guys that I'm choosing, I'm going with Okonkwo. All right, we good here on tight end, because tight end is a pretty important position this particular week. Oh yeah, we didn't mention Foster Moreau.
No, I said not to play him.
You said not to play him? Well, look.
Yeah, I'm not interested in Foster.
Let me throw this out there for you. I mean, he's 2,800, and he's going up against a terrible red zone defense, which is probably where a guy like that would shine the most. And guess what? He was on the field for 78% of the snaps last week. He ran 16 routes compared to Darren Waller's 21. Darren Waller was on the field for 63%. So look, if you're looking at Darren Waller as they're going to ease him back in, he's slowly easing back into maybe that number 1 tight end position. Great. Maybe he'll get most of the snaps today. But Foster Moreau is still back when he was chalk, he's still an option here, even though he's got a little bit more competition when it comes to receiving. All right, so defense here. Unfortunately, we have to talk about this. Jaguars is 3,400, Chiefs defense 3,200, Titans 28, and then the lowest is 2,200 for the Raiders. Everybody and their brother most likely is going to be playing Jaguars because, hey, that's the smart play. You're going up against Josh Dobbs, a bad Tennessee offense with a low total. But look, they're expensive, man. I mean, let's just look. If you could go all the way down to the Raiders defense, which is scary, yes, but that salary you're saving can really get you from a shitty like $3,000 punt at wide receiver up to like a halfway decent dude that you're at least comfortable can get a couple targets. So what are you thinking with defenses here? Are you spreading out? Are you gonna for a defense that's 50% owned, if they have a pick 6 or if they have 10, 12 fantasy points and you don't have them, you are probably in trouble unless some random minimum punt scores multiple touchdowns. You're kind of in trouble, right? Like, what do we do here with these defenses?
Yeah, man. Look, I think anytime a defense is chalk, that's bad news. Especially on main slate. Let's just put it this way. I think the easiest way to keep in mind is if you can go from the Jaguars defense to the Raiders defense, that $1,200 in savings is probably going to get you 7 to 10 fantasy points in a different position. I don't think the Jaguars defense is going to have 10 more fantasy points than the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And that's including who the Raiders are playing in their matchup. So that said, I think you build out the best roster you can possibly build and then see what you have left over for defense. If it's 2,200, maybe try and get up to the Titans if you can. But again, if you think your lineup is that much better, then fuck it, play the Raiders defense. They're probably going to get the lowest they can get is 0. I don't think they can get negative points anymore in DK, right?
They can.
-2, right? So yeah. What happened last time they played KC? They didn't get negative points, did they?
2 points.
I'm sure they're playing. Yeah, I'm sure they're playing for some sense of pride. But again, if that's the difference between you playing Justin Watson or fucking Hunter Renfrow, I don't know. You might want to think about it.
But listen.
But other than that, just play who you have, who you're comfortable with the salary left over. You don't need to prioritize unless it's cash or you're doing something specifically to counter chalk, I guess.
I mean, you brought up a good point. With the NFL, we don't have the graphic. We don't have the exact details about what the NFL announced about the AFC Championship game and all that information. We read it. We know what it says. And basically, Ellie, like you said, the KC pretty much can't get home field, right? So their incentives for the AFC Championship game. So their incentives are pretty much kind of how much are they going to play? How much do they care? Do they come out and absolutely crush in the first half and then sit their dudes? Probably. So in that case, maybe the Raiders defense, maybe you get a little bit more out of that Raiders defense. I don't know. It's just something to think about. All right, so this is kind of the sort of cash build that we kind of built before we went live here today. Mahomes at captain, McKinnon, Travis Etienne, Zay Jones, Hunter Renfrow, Kadarius Toney, Travis Kelce, Evan Ingram, and Jaguars defense. Now, Ellie, how would you adjust this if you weren't comfortable with some of these plays? You got this. You got the Hunter Henry, excuse me, and Kadarius Toney. How would you adjust this?
So the first place to be looking at, honestly, is I'd probably come off of Jared McKinnon and drop down to Isaiah Pacheco. That should give you a little bit of flexibility if you're not necessarily comfortable with a Hunter Renfrow or Katoni. And then another spot is maybe get some salary by going from the Jags defense down to the Titans. Let's see what does that really kind of give us to work with on.
So you could probably come off of Toney and get up to someone respectable, or Renfrow, either one.
Yeah, I think. Let's see. Let me come back over to wide receivers. So what we got? About 1,300 left. So the problem is
Traylon Brooks.
Yeah, we want to try and get up to Juju if we can. How much does that leave us?
We need $100. Yeah, we can't quite do that. We'd have to go to the Raiders defense.
Yeah, we'd have to go down on the Raiders defense. So this is where you start running into interesting situations, right? So, for example, throw in Matt Hollins instead of Toney.
Okay.
Now, you still got that 1,000 salary, so you can come up somewhere else. Maybe you go back up to Jarek McKinnon instead of Pacheco, or Titans defense. You can go over to one of the other the Jacksonville defense that we were looking at earlier.
Now, obviously, you're not going to want to play Mac. I mean, that's a GPP pivot there.
Right.
So, I honestly feel the best with Toney here. And then I feel better with McKinnon. I mean, here, let's clear this. Let's start fresh. Let's put Patrick Mahomes and Kelce in, and then let's build from there.
Okay.
Let's build. Do you want to build like a core that like sort of we're comfortable with, and then you can sort of pivot from there? You want to build a core first?
For cash, yeah, let's do it, man. So I still think Zay Jones is one of the primary guys we need to be building with, and then Evan Ingram is going to be the other piece. That's probably the core that I would be working with, and then again, you can throw in either the Jags or the Titans when it comes to defense or special teams.
Yeah. Well, let's clear it. Let's build a tournament lineup now with Mahomes and Kelce. Let's try to build an interesting tournament lineup. This is where it's going to get a lot more fun. So, where do we want to go at running back here? Do we want to go? What do you want to do?
I think it would be interesting to start with a handcuff. Let's go with Jarek McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco.
Okay. Boom, boom. All right.
And then let's throw in Darren Waller at the flex.
Yeah.
Try something out
there
here.
You go. Okay. All right. I like it so far.
And then can we get fuck it. Throw in Kirk and Zay Jones.
All right. Well, wide receiver and defense, we're looking pretty good. Let's pick our defense first. Yeah, Titans, 3,400 for wide receiver. So you got Jamal Agnew, Westbrook Akine. This is a crazy ass lineup.
I will run it. You throw in Nick Akina, Jamal Agnew, Justin Watson. I will run that lineup 3 times with those guys rotated there.
All right, I like it though, because I mean, I like what you're doing with Casey and throwing in a lot of Jacksonville stacks. It's really allowing you, it's almost like when you're playing MLB DFS and you're trying to find the 5-man and the 3-man stacks and you're trying to mix them together. Go with a chalky big stack and then go with a really crazy smaller stack. That's kind of what you were doing. Although Jacksonville is kind of favored, but the ownership on these guys is not going to be that high.
Hold on. Can you do one more thing for me? Throw everybody back in there. Just pull out Kelce instead and put in Evan Ingram.
Okay. Evan Ingram. Who do you want? You want the handcuff?
Yeah, go McKinnon, Pacheco, Kirk, and Jones.
Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, 6,800
Actually,
here.
pull out Evan Ingram and just put in Devontae Adams. See what we need to do here.
2,500 a tight end, bare minimum.
Play Dan Arnold.
Dan Arnold, baby. Dude, that's
right.
hey, yeah, okay. So Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Dan Arnold. You've got Patrick Mahomes, McKinnon, and Pacheco. That's ballsy right there. I don't know if that's smart or just know which one it is to not play any wide receivers.
I'll run that in a 25-cent contest. Why not?
Yeah, do it. Yeah, throw that into a 10-center or something.
All right. But all seriousness, you can just come off Devontae Adams. You throw back Ingram, and then find somebody a little bit more middle ground.
All right, I want to do it. I want to do a Stidham stack here. So what I want to do is I want to do a Stidham, like Stidham and Waller or Adams or whatever, and then I want to really stack on the other side. So instead of having to pay up for Patrick Mahomes, I want to try to it's gonna be tough. I got to guess, but I want to guess at those guys that Patrick Mahomes throws those touchdowns to. So what I want to do is I want to start with Adams, and then let's go over to McKinnon. Actually, you know what? I want to go with Pacheco in this situation. Well, let's put in Kelsey. So I could do Adams and Kelsey together. That's going to be interesting. Now, where do I want to go from here? Do I want to find my value? Maybe I want to go Stidham, Adams, and do I want to go to, what's his bucket here at wide receiver? Where's he at? Renfro, 3,800, probably, right? Just salary, or do I want to go over to Waller? What do you think?
I think, okay, so this is going to sound crazy. I think you should go ahead with the handcuff, throw in McKinnon, throw in Renfro, and then throw in Waller, and just see what you have left for that last wide receiver spot.
Screw it. We're getting into game stacking now here. Where's Renfro?
We're building PPP lineups here, guys. Like, I'm not trying to tie.
All right, who else did you say?
Throw in Waller at flex.
Okay. All right, so let's do our defense first. Screw it. Let's go Titans here. Just for now. That gives us 5K. Zay Jones?
Yes.
Hey,
that's absolutely.
Not bad. So Stidham,
Pacheco.
I mean, it really allows you to. I mean, we got Devontae Adams, Zay Jones, Kelsey, Waller. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Let's do one again without the running back handcuff, because I think I've forced that into every build we've done. Jacobs, ETN, Renfro, Adams, Kelsey. That's what you had? Yeah.
Renfro, where the hell are you, bro? Renfro, Kelsey, Waller.
Raiders.
Oh, I'm sorry, not
Raiders
Waller.
defense.
Raiders defense. Who did I have? Ingram?
Mm-hmm. No, put in Waller. That's fine.
Oh, is that what I had? Okay.
3,400. Oh, no. Okay, perfect. Throw in Ingram. Throw in, I don't know, Justin Watson. This is crazy as hell, but like, this is a game script that would support a Raiders defense, right? Kelsey can still have 78 fantasy points, and the Raiders defense end up with 10 to 15. Right, and you're not in a terrible spot. And Watson's a punt. He could have 2 receptions for 70 yards.
Yeah. All right, let's build a Trevor Lawrence one here. So T-Law, do we want Zay Jones and Kirk, or do you want Ingram? Like, what do we do? Do we do like 3 dudes or 2 dudes with him?
Yeah. You're gonna fight me, bro. But I want Kirk, I want Zay Jones, and I want Evan Ingram.
All right. So what does that put us for the flex? Are you interested in Kelsey here since we've saved a little bit of money with this stack?
Yeah, let's go ahead and throw Kelsey in there.
All right, pop him in.
I still like Isaiah Pacheco at running back.
All right. Do you want a run back here? You want to go? You got to go Derrick Henry here, right?
Yeah, let's go Derrick Henry.
All right, so let's get a defense. Do we want to stack the defense in here? Or do we want to go from the other game? Do you want to just say screw it with the Raiders?
Can we actually get to Kansas City defense?
Yeah, I think we can. 3,500. Justin Watson. or Westbrook and
I
Kyle.
mean, yeah, no, I mean Nick Akina is perfect for this actually. Like,
yeah, or you could,
that was actually pretty easy to build, right? Like that seemed a little too
yeah,
simple.
with Trevor Lawrence, that seemed very very simple for sure. I mean,
Are,
who are we missing? I
you,
mean, we're obviously missing. We don't have Devontae Adams
Devontae,
in this, but I guess you could switch out Kelsey. Could we do that? Could we go Adams? No,
that was exactly what I was gonna say, bro.
yeah. So you'd have to really really punt though if you wanted Devontae, you have to go Dan Arnold or something, or Jeff Swaim or one of these other assholes.
Well, hold on, pull out Dan Arnold and go down to Titans defense.
Oh, all right. 3K. Foster Moreau.
Justin Watson. Well, Foster Moreau. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I guess you could. But in this case,
go with the highest projected player, whoever it is, regardless of price.
It's probably who is it?
Probably just it might be Foster Moreau, to be honest with you. Like 3K.
Yeah, 2,800. Yeah, probably. So Trevor Lawrence, Isaiah Pacheco, Derrick Henry, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Devontae Adams, Evan Ingram, Foster Moreau, and Titans defense. This just seems so random, but at the same time, it just kind of makes sense. All right.
I want to do one more thing off this lineup, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Pull out Moreau, pull out Titans defense, pull out Adams, and then for Pacheco, put in McKinnon.
Okay.
Let's put in the Chiefs defense.
Okay.
Flex Christian Okonkwo, or Okonkwo, whatever his first name is.
Okay. 7,400.
7,400. Is that even give us anything to pay up for?
That gets us Juju.
Josh,
you leave 2. Oh, well, hang on a second. Oh, no.
Hold on.
No, because we have
this is where roster construction sucks, because Josh Jacobs is 7,400.
Yeah, the flex. Yeah, that's what.
Well, then fuck it. Take out Okonkwo, put in Watson at wide receiver,
yep, I agree.
and then throw Jacobs into the flex. This will be a unique enough build. Jesus, we got Henry. We're fading. We're essentially fading the Chiefs and hoping McKinnon has a ceiling game here. But I'm not opposed to this. You could drop off of McKinnon, go down to Pacheco, and I don't know, maybe get something else instead of Watson. Hunter Renfrow, maybe.
Josh Jacobs in the flex is probably going to be pretty not popular. Like, this roster construction is very, very interesting. I like it. But you're right. You're kind of saying, okay, the Chiefs win a low scoring game here, and McKinnon has a rushing touchdown or 2 or something like that, which is kind of scary. But hey, if you're doing 100 plus lineups or whatever, this is a stack that you should be getting involved. Do you want to do one more with Dobbs?
Yeah, let's see what we can do with it.
All right. Josh Dobbs, where do we want to go here? Do you want to get 2 studs in? Do you want to get 2 running backs in here or something? Like maybe a little bit different build?
Let's go Henry. Let's go Kelsey.
Okay.
Let's go Okonkwo in the flex.
Okay. Where's my boy?
I'm
not used to building right on DraftKings here. Okonkwo. Okay.
Let's go Titans defense.
Okay.
So we got 22.9. You want to throw Hunter Renfrow in one of those wide receiver spots?
Okay, Hunter Renfrow, 3,800. You got a shitload of money left, bro.
Let's go. Traylon Burks and Devontae Adams, and then just see what we have for that last running back position.
6,100. Pacheco, Haskins, Jermichael Hasty, probably Pacheco here.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. So you got Adams, Kelsey, and Derrick Henry in the same lineup. Hey, if those guys get a shitload of raw points, man, it might not matter, because that's going to be very, very unique.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Dobbs could have a rushing touchdown too. Like,
that is true. It is true.
All right, run them naked if you want.
So, all right, what are your thoughts here on after building? What are you thinking here, man? What was your favorite stack? What was your favorite type of build? How crazy are you going to get for tournaments? Because it seems like, you know, as you get going, but once you lock that main stack in, it's kind of like the same type of shit. You know, I feel like everybody's going to kind of go down the same paths with a lot of these lineups. If you just change, if you get 2 stud running backs, or if instead of getting, you know, the 2 popular tight ends, you go with Okonkwo or something, that could really change the way your entire roster comes together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like what we do on Showdown. We build the lineups to kind of get a feel of what you're forced to put in at each position. And the same thing applies here. It looks like 2 tight ends is going to be really popular. And, you know, maybe getting an extra wide receiver or an extra running back in at the flex is enough to get different on a slate like this. And the last thing is I think don't sweat the defenses. Now, that obviously means one's going to have 3 defensive touchdowns, but just don't try and predict that. That's bullshit. Try and get the best possible lineup you can, and then hope you don't have to jam in the Raiders into every single lineup. I think that's the easiest way to go about it.
Yep. Who's your low-owned guy that you're picking to score?
I mean, I'm going to go with Okonkwo. I'm sure he's going to be pretty low-owned just because of the way the tight end position works out.
Yep, I'm going to Okonkwo too, man. I think he's going to score a touchdown. Anyways, thanks for bearing with us, guys. This is our first sort of main slate show we've done all season. So any constructive criticism, notes in the comments would be helpful. Besides that, throw us a like, subscribe, join that Discord. And Ellie, what's coming up next for us? We got Sunday Night Football. That's the Lions and the Packers, right? That's going to be a sick-ass game, right?
Yep, I'm excited for it, man.
All right, we will see you guys later, man. Take it easy.